What is up? What is up? Welcome. Thanks for everybody who's tuning in, coming over from the Ronnie Dizon stream. What a blast. What an absolute blast. So this, I actually probably should change the visibility on this video right now. Let me do that really quick before I forget, if I can remember. I had this video unlisted because I didn't want it to overshadow the Ronnie Dizon one, but now that that one's finished and done, I've now made this public so people can hopefully see it. Jeez, guys, what an insane stream. What an insane stream. All right, we got no time to waste, so we're gonna get jumping right into it. Crazy to see you guys here. Wow, welcome. It's so crazy to see you guys over here. Let's get into it. Well, actually, I'm realizing there's probably a large group of people here who don't know how I do layout reviews. So welcome, everybody from Malaysia, anybody who's going to be playing in that tournament. So real quick, the very first things that I do anytime I walk a field, absolutely, you're welcome, David. Thank you. Long time no see, Derek. So the first thing that I always do is I always analyze where I think zones will be, right? We don't have time to get into all the reasons why I do zones, but you can certainly watch my other broadcasts in case you're curious. But the zones I draw as a way to help me identify where I would think a person or a player would likely be in a standard breakout, right? So I'm usually concerned about figuring out where the number 1 and number 2 on the snake side are, and number 1 and number 2 on the Dorito side, and where the home guy is going to be. That means that if I kill a guy right off the break or within the first 5 to 10 seconds of the point, I can very easily understand where the next person is going to be, right? So that's the reason why I draw these zones. Now, in the case of this field, this is a super bright looking screen, so hopefully you guys don't find this too mind-numbing. This is an interesting one. So I would probably say this is going to be tough. That's probably where I draw that zone. I would draw this zone probably here. It kicks out the zones pretty far, but this is probably where I would draw those. So in the case of Bro Army and a lot of other teams, I think AC Diesel or Dallas did use this for a long time. Sorry, let me get a different song here real quick. So I would call this snake side. First zone is always Arizona. Some people call it Charger. That's totally fine. The next one inside is Oklahoma. The one here is Texas or Utah. I'm going to call it Texas this time. And this is Iowa and Nevada. I don't expect anybody to use that, but just know that that's what I call them if I refer to those zones. And again, the reason we draw this is because if I see a guy dive into the snake and we eliminate him, where's the next guy likely to be? Well, in the first few seconds of the point, he's going to be probably somewhere here. It's possible for him to be here, which is kind of what makes these zones a little janky. And obviously they could be in the corner, but I should have eyes downfield to know that, right? So with those zones drawn, it gives me the idea that these 3 bunkers are going to be where we find the number 3. We'll find the number 1 player somewhere here. The number 2 on the snake will overlap with these 2 bunkers. The number 1 guy will probably be in these 3 bunkers here. And I would actually say that the number 2 could also be in these bunkers here. So here are how the zones break down, right? Again, this is for the purpose that if you eliminate somebody, you can immediately start chopping off the next zone, right? Especially as the guys playing behind your teammates, you can start chopping off the field as you start eliminating people. So that's the first thing I do, okay? The second thing I'd like to do is I like to walk the baseline to see what sort of shots exist as I'm running and gunning. Andre, welcome, buddy. Welcome. Hey, guys, help share to your buddies in the interest of looking for layout. Awesome. Thank you, sweet brother. Thanks to my man, Gucci, who's doing this event. Absolutely. Welcome from Singapore. Thank you. Welcome. So as you run out across the baseline, you obviously have... I don't know if I can do yellow. I have to do purple for this. Okay, so you obviously have a shot up the gut, which anytime there's big gaps in from the start box to your primary bunkers, that's always going to be spots for dead zones. So this is absolutely one of those. You've got a really decent cross shot on the snake that you could absolutely get to from here. So cross shots are always something to look out for. And by the time we walk the field, I usually give you some kind of idea as to what bunkers are key to the field, what bunkers you probably should avoid, or ones that are just like kind of meh. And from there, we can usually draw some like cool plays or interesting breakouts, right? Not always, but sometimes. This is a pretty standard heads up shot as you run out to the corner, so nothing to really be said about this. But we do see that this is what you would have to keep your gun up shooting in this dead zone gap if you were to not die from somebody shooting back at you from the home, right? Because what I suspect will happen is a lot of teams will maybe get a little risky and stop at the start box and start shooting to get their accuracy up. But over the course of the tournament, what you're going to see is people are either going to have to just run faster or start shooting back because the guy's completely in the open. And when that starts to happen is when you're going to start seeing this home guy move up to the center as he shoots, which is still not bad because he's got this insane gap right here. This is huge. The difference between running to the Dorito and the Aztec Corner, which is always something to pay attention to, is decent. It's not a massive gap, the distance between here and here. And the reason we want to know that is because if this home guy is deciding to shoot at the front Dorito guy, it's probably not a big adjustment for him to shoot the corner instead, right? And in some cases, when those gaps are just small enough, people will oftentimes fan their gun up and down as they're shooting this, just to increase their probability of shooting that guy. But otherwise, you know, depending on the division you're playing, you can usually guess where they're going to go. Whether they're in a running position or a gunning position. Gazerg, miss you, dude. When are we going to play squad, man? Thanks for the $2, buddy. Thank you. I hope you're doing well. You've got some pretty insane cross shots as you even go out to the corner, but anytime you run out to the corners, guys, you really only, if you're going to be running and gunning, your primary concern is the guy at the home. That's generally who you're worried about. You're almost never shooting a guy over here in this snake side opposite corner of you as you're running out. So still up in Canada, be home Sunday. Okay, sounds good, bud. Oh my gosh, 20 gifted, dude. Alan, you're insane, man. You already gifted. Holy crap. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Geez Louise, guys. You've been nothing but super, super generous tonight, so thank you. You obviously have an inside gap to hold, but this is kind of crappy for you because that super exposes you to the snake side of the field. So if you were to try and wrap to hold somebody if they were in the widest, you know, Dorito, for example, actually, is that, yeah. So in the case that you were to get to the corner and they didn't, that's a pretty tough gap to hold from because you have to essentially dump paint in there to stop them from breaking out wide, which might be worth it, but it also might be better to just get up to this Dorito. So if we do that, yeah, this is obviously a much more direct challenge. You both can see each other and you have to hold and you have to win and hold this gunfight to prevent them from breaking out wide and matching you. But that's something to note. It also probably wouldn't be a great idea. Well, I guess you could. Wait, that's interesting. So if you hold this gap and you filter a teammate into here, that's actually not that great. Because when your teammate tries to push up the field, he's going to have to challenge the guy directly while you're still in the corner not really doing anything anymore. Because he's going to have to challenge this way and shoot at this guy, and all you're doing is shooting a gap. And so you're kind of useless if you've got a guy here and a guy here. So it might be that that's not what you do. It's kind of like in this case, this is probably an either or. It's either this one or that one that you go to. You don't go to both, is what it looks like. Sweet. Thanks a lot. Each point is limited to 4 pods and a loader. Semi-pro rules. Okay, sounds good. Good to know. So yeah, I wouldn't suspect that people would try to hold this zone then, if that's the case. This is a really easy win, a really easy beat. So if you get the guy to flinch at all, you instantly take this Dorito, assuming that's as wide as he is. And this gives you a lot of strength to still control this guy. And now all of a sudden you're starting to control the cake, the mini cake. This guy's survivability goes way down the drain as soon as you get to this spot. And this guy also has going to have a tough time surviving if you get to the even just this is what you call this Dorito 2 maybe. So that's interesting. If you get up to the 50, we're kind of just doing a quick sweep, right, guys? We're not going to spend any time just yet on like specific things. We're just taking a look at the field generally. Here's obviously, a mirror gap. You can see each other as you both go to the 50. But if you do go to this 50 with there being a snake, rather, you're in kind of a bad spot at this point. You're essentially living behind your gun. So this does not seem to be a good bunker to get to, except to leapfrog past it, right? And in which case, if you're going here, you should really, if you're going to do this safely while they still have a snake guy, unless you're able to get down on your knees really low, and even then you'd have to live behind your gun. This this part of the field has to be clear almost. Unless you're going to use some kind of cheeky blind, which is also possible. So let's say, for example, there's a guy in the corner and you're here in the Dorito. Well, you don't really have to fight each other because you can't actually see each other if you don't want to. Obviously, you'd have to worry about whoever's up in the middle, but you could probably just blind this dude out and come here. And as you're going to their Dorito, you're just keeping track of this lane, right? So if we go back to the field, this corner guy can't see me. So if I'm still blinding him out, I mean, I'm in the open at this point, right? But assuming that nobody sees me or nobody's looking at me cross field, like from here or here, these are guaranteed kills, okay? As you're still blinding out the corner. So that's interesting to know. Good morning from Malaysia. Good morning. Okay, cool. So it looks to be that this is... Hold on. Sorry, I'm just thinking for a second. I mean, I really don't think you go here except to leapfrog. You could go here if they took the 50 brick. If they went to this brick here, you could go to the corner as a way to like at least have some kind of wide positioning on the Dorito. But even being out as wide as this corner is, you can't see the tape, right? Your best bunker is to get to here, to this Dorito. You're still very protected against the wedge. I mean, you can't even see him at this point. But I just don't think that corner bunker is really good. And it's almost baiting you to look cross field, right? Because obviously you have this cross field shot. But like, if there's any piece of advice that I could give some people in this stream, for people who play lower divisions, if you just want to like play very correct paintball, and almost you could argue safe paintball, but if you wanted to play the most correct paintball and win doing so, you really ought to just have the two people on either sides of the field play heads up. Especially the number twos behind the front guys. And then the number ones just check off the middle every so often. And otherwise they play heads up. And then the number three is the guy that keeps his head on the swivel to see what's happening on either side to help. But that's why like fields like this can really bait people, especially the back guys, to think that there's a lot of really good shots cross field when that's not it, man. You don't want to do that. Especially all the way on the other side of the corner. Like, why are you here except to push this side of the field, right? Because for as long as you look cross field, it's as long as you're not pushing that side. Okay, I mean, there's certainly shots you can take that you can pressure people, get them to stop rapping, so on and so forth. But like, you don't want to stay dedicated on that. Okay, so let's look at the snake side then really quick. So if we run out, there's again a huge gap up the middle. I would suspect that the middle guy is going to get bullied a lot this event, because if even the number twos on either side of the field run out to these bunkers or whatever, or maybe here, if both number twos shoot back at the home guy, that guy is going to struggle to survive. And if you can guarantee a kill off the break every point, why not shoot that every single point? So that center gap is pretty brutal, I would say. As you continue to run out, you have the same exact cross shot, right? So you have this shot here, which actually that means that there's a really interesting and easy play to make. So we'll talk about that in just a second. As you go out here, it's just a pretty standard heads up gun battle. Huge gaps going out here, even responsive gaps, right? So if you were running and gunning heads up, right here is where you get the intel as far as what the number one's doing. If you were the number two guy, which means you're going to stop right here, you could even correct your lane at this point and shoot. You have a few choices. You could either shoot this gap, which is kind of tough, or you could shoot right here. You could shoot so many places, man. You could shoot here. You could shoot at this landing zone to try and hit the corner, or you could shoot... Yeah, so it's, again, the snake and the corner shot are pretty similar. So if I were you, I would probably just shoot for this. And in fact, you could probably even... No, I would just do that. That's where I would put my paint if I was the number two. I'd put it right there. Or higher than that, at least. Okay, if we keep going out to the corner then, or rather if we go to this bunker here. So who can shoot us? The home guy can shoot us. I think we beat the number two on the Dorito side. I think that by the time we get to this cake, we have beaten this guy, and the only shot he's going to kill us on is the move after that. So this snake off the break is going to be pretty tough to make, I would suspect. Obviously you can get here, but this bunker sucks, man. You're in such a submissive position. You have a heads up gun battle. You have to check off 3 people. So if I wanted to move, Let me give you a different angle. If I wanted to move from here to here, I would have to check off this guy. First of all, I have to put in my mirror. I'd have to check off this guy, which you can't even directly see. I'd have to check off this dude, but I can't directly see. And I'd have to check off this guy, who I could see if I wrapped. So that means, I mean, I wouldn't have a situation where 3 guns are looking my way, or 4 guns in this case. But that just means that there's always, you know, there's always somebody on the inside of the field who's going to be looking at you, which would lead me to believe that the safest thing to do... If you want to get intel on whether or not there's the Aztec, you either have to pay attention to if the paint's coming that way, or you have to stand up over the top and get that angle right here, which could just be a really simple head check. Man, you don't have eyes on anything else. You can't see the can. If the guy in the Aztec on the Dorito side was shooting at you, you would see his paint coming, and that's probably the best way you could know he's there. World Genius, what's up, buddy? So that would be the best. My best suggestion is, if you want to get into the snake, you're probably going to have to stop here. And if you stop here, you have to head check over the top or on the inside of the field and see where the paint's coming from. You could head check here and see, but this is going to be a really hard bunker to get out of. The difference between, so now you can see the difference between sliding here and then going to the corner is very minimal. So this is a really easy shot to get shot from. It's not as deliberate for the home guy to change which direction they're shooting, really. And so you got to be careful about that. It might mean that if you're going to take the corner route, you really do need to run like baseline into the corner. You can't kind of run into it. Otherwise, that's too close to what the snake shot would be. Man, dude, this field is brutal because there's no real inside routes you could take. We could look at this pin here in a second. But all right, assuming you get to this corner, is it even good? So I wish these bunkers weren't yellow. I'm sure they're really cool in real life, but it's hard to see differences. So you obviously have a challenge. You could definitely lob some shots over at your mirror over the top. You have shots here. You obviously have an inside channel you can stop the snake from, but if they get wide on you, there's not really anything. If you wrap even further, which is too far at this point, you can see the can. You can see the Dorito side Aztec. That's kind of it. If you look on the inside of the field, you can see this Dorito 1. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, it is on autoplay. You have this big gap here, but there's no real reason you're going to shoot that unless you want to... I don't know. There's always an opportunity. So, for example, if you have... So, in our team, we have various zones, right? We established this already. So, if I am here... And let's say we're super, like we find out throughout the tournament that it's just like, it's super slow moving up the snake. Okay. So my buddy's stuck here. And let's say I hear my teammate shout Iowa, which means that there's nobody in this zone right here. Okay. Absolutely no one. Well, if that's the case, then what I might do for just even a second is I might start pumping paint in this zone right here, even though it's really far and you're probably not going to kill anybody. I might pump paint here for 10 seconds at most. If not even just 5 seconds, and then wait till my teammate has an established control of that zone, and then give it away. And honestly, if my teammate's calling Iowa, they probably already do, but that's just something that you can be aware of. But otherwise, again, I wouldn't try to get baited into shooting crossfield shots in the corners, because that's just not great. So again, this is another bunker that, like, yeah, I mean, you're putting a lot of pressure on the snake, but it's not a great bunker. In the snake, then you've got... Let's scoot back a little. You've got, you know, you can put pressure on this Dorito guy. What kind of pressure you're going to put? Not much. You could shoot a can dude, but I don't think that's a great position to be in. So I wouldn't suspect they'll be there. The challenge with being in this bunker is that you've got a lot of bounce shots. So for you home guys, if you know that there's a snake 1, I guess the advantage of getting to the corner is that you stop them from getting to the snake 2 for free, right? Is that the case? Nope. Can't even see that. What can stop that? Is there anything that can stop the snake 2? This bunker. No. Yep, that's the one. Okay. Wow, are you kidding me? That's the bunker? This is the bunker that stops the snake gap from being for free? Okay, so whose job is that? That's the home guy's job. Wow. Okay. We're going to have some layouts to do here in a second. When are we getting your HelloFresh sponsorship? Dude, I don't know. I cooked a delicious HelloFresh meal tonight, though. It was buffalo chicken. It was really good. Okay, what I was saying is for you home guys, if you want to kill the snake one, if you're able to keep him there. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked. All you got to do is shoot this right here. Shoot a bunch of paint right here. If you shoot this bunker, you're going to start bouncing balls all over the place. And certainly, you may not kill them. You might get a pack hit. But if even before they get into the snake, you start shooting paint right here and hitting this corner, anywhere along this side, you're going to start bouncing paint downward, and it's going to hit their pack or their back. Like, if you want to keep people out of the snake, that's a really great way to do it. Even to stop the guy from the corner going here, that's a really good way to do it, is to just shoot at this gap from the home. We'll look at it in a second. But that's a really dangerous spot to be in as a snake player, because that's going to be a lot of pressure. As far as heads up, I mean, yeah, there's nothing that's going to stop you heads up from getting into the snake 2 in front of you. This is an interesting gap right here. So if I'm right here, nobody can see me. Nobody right now can see me. Even if I'm like kind of in a crouched position, that brick is probably not going to shoot at me. It's possible, but I don't think the brick is going to look my way. So if I get even lower and hold right here, this is where I would challenge this gap from. So you snake 1 players, you don't take this bite for free. Okay? If you get to this bunker, come out a little bit from it and then back off and look right here. Look at this angle, or this challenge, and see if there's a guy in this juice box. This snake is similar to the new NRPL, NRXL layout, really. I tried to find the NRPL layout because I know that somebody wanted me to take a look at it, and I couldn't find the link on Guns Up. So I was thinking about doing it tonight. I'm not going to now because I don't have too much time. But in any case, just check that off before you get into the Snake 2. But otherwise, the Snake 2 is free. Like, absolutely free. And I would suspect that the middle guy is not going to be able to get to that juice box in the breakout before you would get into the Snake 2 if you took Snake off break. But that's the difference. So if, for example, I would suspect that getting out of this dead box, this box right here, is going to be super hard. The routes that you take to do it are going to matter. And the only bunker that we established that can stop this Snake 2 gap is going to be this. Which means that if, for example, you send a guy here, here, and here, and these 2 dudes are shooting back at the home, it's mostly going to be the guy right here that's going to stop this. That means that your snake off break run is super protected because you have 2 people shooting at the guys that are going to shoot at your snake player. And that means that you getting into the Snake 2 really quickly is pretty safe at this point. So long as these 2 guys have decent shots with their running and gunning, that's going to be a really good way to pressure your opponents and prevent them from going to this bunker for free and stopping this move. Because that's the only move, guys. That's the only thing that I'm seeing that's going to stop that Snake 2 move. Okay? Otherwise, I guess you have a Dorito guy, which, dude, if you have to have a front Dorito player holding a snake gap, that's not even a Dorito 1. That's Dorito 2, kind of. You're in bad shape. Yeah, I mean, dude, you're talking about how much paint. You can't afford to dump more than a pod here as a front player, right? With 4 pods. There's going to be a ton of movement this tournament. Okay, cool. So let's keep going really quick then. I wouldn't suspect that anybody takes this inside route. This inside snake route. A lot of people who can see you here. If you get here, you're not stuck per se, but look, my opinion of these inside routes is going to be that it's always a possibility if you don't have eyes looking at you, but this is a case by case move in my opinion. Otherwise, if you move up to this wedge here, looking inside, you have a kill for sure if anybody's at the 50, but they also can kill you. You have pretty big gap control on the Doritos side. You're pressuring the wedge now on the Doritos side. But no guaranteed kills so far, except for the 50. This guy you're going to pressure, but I don't think you're going to kill him. This dude had to have died already for you to even be here. Or look the other way. This guy's obviously, anything that's super close, these 2 bunkers right here, it's either you kill them or they kill you, depending on if they're there or not. This is a really tough challenge for you because this angle sucks. This angle's really bad to challenge from. It's just a really tough angle to challenge from, I should say. And this is much better for them to challenge you from. So I would be very cautious about fighting somebody who's in that can. And anything on the inside, I would be very careful about challenging. And then in that case, you might not even want to bother, to be honest. But okay, so if we get here and we look heads up, And you got nothing. You have a super protected Snake 1 and Snake 2. You don't have any shots to really kill them except to surprise them. You certainly could shoot them if they decided to take the bite from Snake 1 to Snake 2 without checking it off, but they could just as easily stand up and challenge you. And that's a really dangerous shot for you. You can obviously shoot the corner, but that's not super revolutionary or revelatory. If you go here, you don't have any great wraps. I mean, you sort of do. You can definitely pressure this can. You can pressure this guy, and you'll probably kill this dude. So I mean, depending on how far the corner, like how far around the guy in the corner's playing, if he's wrapping on his bunker or not, this shot definitely exists on those two people. But so far, there has not been any shot where it's like as soon as you get to the Snake 1 or the Snake 2 or the Snake 40 or whatever, there's not a shot that's like immediately shoot that one. So far, there isn't, to my knowledge. Yeah, I mean, even this shot, you could take this shot. You could take that one if you wanted. So when you get up to the Snake 2, use this little nipple right here to blind anybody in front of you, and stand straight up and challenge this direction. So as soon as you get here, if you stand up, you can shoot this. You'll surprise this guy every time because he has no idea that you're in the Snake without teammates communication. He couldn't see you up until you got to the Snake 2. So well, we'll get to the 50 here in just a second, and then I'll run down the Snake side. Wow, great insight so far. It looks like it's action-packed, which is what we want on the live stream. Absolutely. Yeah. No, this is going to be a crazy layout for sure. All right, this is definitely the first bunker in the Snake where there's a kill shot for sure, and that's the corner guy right here. You could get a Dorito guy playing off his bunker. If you step off of your bunker and blind, you could kill this Dorito guy. And be pretty safe doing so, right? Yeah, you could kill this dude. So that works for sure. If you play on the outside, then again, you've got a super protected heads up, wrapping. Here's the first challenge that's going to be, they're going to have to live behind their gun. If you wrap here, this guy has to live behind his gun. There's no way he can survive without doing that. What's up, guys? What's up? Man, I think you just play low here. I think if you get up to this 50, I think you look for this Dorito guy. I think you look here and here, and then if you don't see him, immediately get here and go low. Like obviously the guy can't be in the Snake 2, right? If he's in the Snake 2, you're dead. But if you get low, you can blind out everything that's in front of you, check off this dude or kill him, and then you can like ghost walk this entire gap right here. And then now you've got 4 confirmed kills. You've got this guy, and we're not counting the can, and this guy and this guy. Obviously this dude's dead by now, but you have essentially 4 confirmed kills. Our Malaysia D5 plays Mercy 5 within 12 minutes. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so here's what I would say. I think the teams that will win on the Snake side are those that can get a guy into the Snake off the break. And the way that they'll do that is by covering. You don't have to have 2 guns. I'm not saying you have to have 2 guns. So don't take that as such. But whatever you can do to protect this move, because if you make this off the break, you will get to the Snake 2 for sure. Like there's nobody who can stop you if you can make it to the Snake off the break. If you get caught up here, this is going to be a really, really tough bunker to break out of. But again, if you can wait and you can contain them, then people can't, dump. They can't dump more than 4 pods, right? So they're going to have to give up at some point, which will give you the release to move. The problem is that this move from the Snake 2 to the Snake 1 to the Snake 2 is not free at that point. It's very likely that this guy will be getting set up here to do that. But that means that you guys, whoever's playing this field, needs to get to this bunker, okay? Unless you can contain them here, or you can shore up your shots on the Snake runner, you absolutely need to get to this bunker to shoot here. Now, really quick, let's look at how safe that bunker is from the Doritos. Oh, super safe. Holy, nobody can see you. Yeah, wow. Wow. Okay. So yeah, that's a key bunker. This bunker right here is a star bunker. I would say that's a must go to bunker to stop them from killing you on the snake side. Okay. Let's look at the middle really quick. And then we'll do the Dorito side thing again. So again, if you run up the middle, I think your safest route is going to be to run up the middle shooting Dorito way. And then have this guy who plays the snakes or the Dorito side, the Dorito number 2. The number 2 on the Dorito, excuse me. This is what I think the play is going to be. I think this guy's going to kick out here. And he's going to shoot this way for the runner, wherever that shot is going to be, right? And then this guy is going to push up the center and then go here when he can. And then hold snake. And when he does, I mean, as soon as this guy gets to his bunker... And well, actually, sorry, let me back up. As soon as the number 3, which is this top line, as soon as he gets set up here, it releases the number 2 on the Dorito side to play heads up. To then switch and try to push out. Okay. That's kind of the sequence of how I would suspect things would go. It doesn't always have to be that way, right? But certainly this guy and this guy has the shot up the Doritos, so he could do that if he wanted, or excuse me, up the snake. This is a huge, I mean, guys, this is massive. Huge gaps, okay? It's going to be hard to survive the snake side. It's going to be really hard to survive the Dorito side. But I would suspect that if you wanted to get to this bunker, you'd have to be shooting Dorito way. But what's going to be interesting, what's going to happen is that as teams start to pick that up or put that together, these two are going to start getting into a heads-up gunfight, which is going to make this move really difficult. Okay, so there's lots of ways that you can slow down people's progression and getting to this bunker, but just know that that's probably what's going to happen, is that teams are going to first start shooting this way, and then one team's going to start shooting back, and then that's going to cause these two people to start shooting at each other, which then relieves some pressure for your wide guys. It relieves pressure for these guys on the snake and these guys on the Dorito. Okay, so then let's look at this center bunker here real quick. I mean, if they're stuck in the snake, this is a pretty tough spot for them to live in. You're not going to probably kill that guy here unless he's playing super sloppy. What's interesting is that this home guy, if he's actually playing in the can, is super far up to the field. That this is a lot of pressure. This is a lot of pressure to be putting on somebody, and you're going to force their gun this way if they're not shooting at you. So just you home guys, get out of this bunker. Get out of this bunker. And it might even be that the home guys don't even go up the middle. It might be that you double stack something or kick one side out to free up the middle for the home guy. And we'll go over that in just a second. But, okay, you go here. I mean, yeah, it's pretty basic, right? You have this massive zone control right in front of you. If the widest guy is in this Dorito, you control this entire zone here. You just have to be worried about a guy matching you and then running you down. If you decide to make this move, I don't think anybody's going to think you're going to do that, man. The only person that's going to stop you is this guy right here. I mean, obviously, if anybody's in this wedge, but... Honestly, if I were playing this brick and this was the widest dude, if nobody was over this side, I would actually just go here. I would probably just wrap and see what's going on. Like, obviously check off what's in front of you in the Doritos, and I'd probably just get up here, check off the snake really quick, and then make some kind of run through play, right? Because if there's a guy here looking cross map to hold the snake, this move is how you release that. That's how you kill this dude to free up your snake. Because honestly, the thing that sucks about the Doritos is this is a massive gap, and even if you cross this gap, there's nothing that you're going to gain from being in this bunker. So this is where I would suspect the point ends in like an even match. In a 5-on-5, I would suspect that the Doritos stop here, and that what's going to happen is it's going to be a hold for either team, and that the way you break it open is some kind of inside route that takes him out. That's kind of what I would suspect. Okay, so let's look at breakouts then really quick. So, okay, making it to any of these bunkers is going to be super, super hard. But we've established that if you want to get to the snake off break, you need to have whoever it is that's going up the middle, or rather whoever it is that is responsible for shooting at the guy at the middle, needs to know where that guy's going. So the best way to do that is to call... Sorry, I'm trying to find it. I guess this one works. Sorry. I'm just bouncing around. Okay. The best thing to call is if I'm at this start box and I'm looking at my opponents, anybody can do this, but what you are primarily concerned with is two things. How many people are stacking up on which side of the field? Is there 2 people here and 3 people here, which in this case would be called 23? Or is it vice versa? Is there 3 people looking Snake way and 2 people looking Dorito way, which we'd call 32? And what is determining that is where the home guy's looking, right? Because we know there's going to be 2 people on either side of the field for almost every single point. So what we're primarily concerned is, where's the home guy shooting? Is he shooting right? Is he shooting left? Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing we're primarily concerned with is how many guns are up on either side of those field, or on either side of those of the start box. So if it's, for example, if we hear 23, 2 Dorito gunners, or I don't remember what term we used to use for this, but 2 gunners Dorito side or something, right? You can come up with a code if you want. I never thought to do that. Then what does that tell you? Okay, well, that tells me that they're pouring the pressure out on the Dorito side. Not only do they have 2 guns running and shooting back at you on the Dorito side, but they're trying to protect that move by having the home guy shoot Dorito way to just outpour, or pour out rather, a ton of pressure. Okay, so how does that inform you as a player? Well, that means that your home guy, whatever he was doing before, needs to shoot the Dorito way, because you need to key up on that. So you need to shoot this gap. Whether you stop in this dead box or you move up to this bunker and shoot that way, it doesn't matter. You need to key up on that. The second thing is you probably need to pull up short on the Dorito side, okay? So if you at least think that that they're accurate as they're running and gunning, which means that you would probably you'd probably do something like this. Send a guy here looking Dorito way, send a guy here looking Snake way, and another guy going here shooting Dorito way. And in this case, he would just shoot this gap right here. As soon as those people cross this zone, if you're the wide guy, which in this case, you're going to be the number 1 on the Dorito side, as soon as they cross this zone, the first guy that does, you have to shoot paint and immediately go. You have to immediately respond to that move, okay? Your hope is that you killed somebody, but as soon as they cross that, you have to go to match it, okay? But you're pulling up short as a way to survive the breakout and hopefully kill 1 or 2 players on their side. Same is true for the opposite side of the field. We don't need to run through that. So then I guess the question is... Sorry, one sec. Yeah, I mean, honestly... You have a lot of options here. You actually even have a really good move up the middle if you got pulled up short. Interesting. So another way to get to this juice box that's right in front of this Aztec is to just take this route. As long as this guy is checked off and the home guy can't see you. So that's another option, is if you wanted to like ultra protect the Snake side, you could send 2 people here. One guy shooting heads up, the other guy shooting cross. Once this guy gets established and holds the zone, this dude moves up this way and then takes over the zone. And then this guy flips and plays on the outside. Okay, so by the time that happens, this guy's looking this way and you've got a guy looking this way. Also a really good way to protect yourself. The problem with this play is that if they broke out wide and they're anywhere in this zone, you're on a time clock, which is... Sorry. Oh, that's the tarp outside moving. That scared the crap out of me. You're on a ticking time bomb if you take too long to make this play. And also, you are controlled by the same zone from 1 player. 1 player can shoot 2 people and keep them in, which is kind of tough. So just be aware of that. Okay, so again, let's look at breakouts. So I would suspect that there's so much creativity in these 3 bunkers that can inform how you decide to break out, but that the number 1s are really trying as best they can. The number 1 on the Dorito is really trying to get to either this bunker or this bunker, and the Snake is trying to get to one of these 2, with the very likely chance that they get stuck here. But obviously, if you guys just got this layout dropped and you're able to practice it, I would honestly try to get to that Snake off break and push your limits there and see who can relieve the pressure for that guy. Okay, who is it that's shooting at him, and figure out which of these 3 bunkers is the one to relieve that pressure by challenging that guy. That's what I would suggest. Okay, so a default breakout could look like, I mean, a safe breakout is going to be, ultra safe breakout is going to be 2 here. Yeah, man, this is hard, guys. Yeah. Honestly, that Dorito gap is really brutal, but the distance between the Dorito and the corner is wide enough versus the distance between the snake and this corner. These are wide enough that the Dorito 1 guy has a lot of routes he can take. So the gaps, this distance is pretty wide. So as the front Dorito player, you can do a lot. Okay, you can do a lot to survive the breakout. I would probably not suggest pulling up short and double stacking unless you had to. I know we just went over that, but like, I would probably try not to. I would try to prioritize taking a different route the next point to make sure that you're not jamming up the middle, right? Because it very well may be that you have to double stack the home, or essentially this Aztec on the snake side, just to survive the snake. But definitely try to push the limits there. I would probably not bother going to this corner. I don't, at least in the guns up layout, I literally don't see any value to this bunker. If we look at it one more time, I mean, who can you see? You can see the snake guy as he stands up from the cake, maybe, but he could also just go below you. You can't see your mirror. You can shoot at him. You can't see this guy if he decides not to shoot at you. You can only see this guy if he decides to challenge you. If you wrap even further, which again, if you're wrapping this far and there's somebody in the snake, you are going to die. So that's not good. If you go here, if you look on the inside, you're giving up the snake, and obviously there's a ton of people that can shoot at you. So I think that you could go to this bunker as a response. So say, for example, let's say you go here and you take a guy, you try to get to the snake off the break and you lose this dude. I think it's probably fine if you can work your way out to this bunker as a way to control the snake. But even still, as soon as you do that, you are at least conceding this bunker. You are giving up this entire gap as a result of making that decision. You can see you fractured image of your reflection. Oh, weird. I'm not sure I understand. Okay. So let's see. Okay, let's go back to breakouts real quick. So the one on the snake side. So the one on the Dorito is going to go to these 3 bunkers. Okay. The number 2 is going to go to these bunkers. I know we already did this, but there's a reason we're doing it again. Super deep, my bad. No problem. The number 1 on the snake side is going to go to these bunkers. I know that's a gap, but the number 2 on the snake side is going to go to, it's really probably just this bunker. And the number 3 is going to go to all 3 of these bunkers. And he could leapfrog into this one. He could go into this one as well. So what does this tell us? In my opinion, it tells us that the Dorito side is the safer side to push. And so that means that what you want to make sure when you create breakouts, you want to take risks. You want to take risks, but you don't want to take unnecessary risks, right? So this usually means that if you're going to push the Dorito side, you need to pull up short on the snake side. Okay. Now, depending on how free the Dorito push is, you can be more risky on the snake side, but you don't want to risk both guys. You don't want to risk both your front players out wide and lose both of them, because that's just, you're going to get jammed up in the middle. Like here, this is going to be your widest positioning, and you're going to just crumble. Absolutely. So I would suspect that your default play on the Doritos is going to be to go to one of these 2 bunkers, and taking the route that you need to survive is going to be important. But the other thing you can consider is that the routes that you take here, this is something that we learned from Seattle Thunder, is sometimes the run out to a bunker is really bad, but you can make it less bad if you decide to take pauses in your route. So we've established that, like, these inside gaps are nasty, right? This is really bad for the home guy. This is, especially if both people decide to do this. How do you survive that? If both these number 2 guys decide to shoot at the home, that dude does not live, right? So if we go a step further than that, then what we can do is like maybe off the break as the number 1, you just need some time, or rather the number 2, whoever wants to float out here, you just need to float out. You need to float out of this bunker and just chill for a second. Shoot here, shoot this entire gap, and you're floating off of this bunker, right? You're not close to it at all. Step up over the top, shoot paint here, and just shoot like a stream of 5 balls to get the guy off of you, and then take the bite. And then take the bite into the snake, or take the bite into the corner, and then get low and get into the snake. Because I would say that the only reason that you go to this corner is because if you go really low right here, nobody can see you. So you can get into the snake for free if you made it to the corner. But the problem is again, the distance between the snake and the corner is not really big, and so running there off the break might not work. But all I mean to say is that like if you want to increase your survivability going out past this cake right here, just pause at any of these channels right here. Shoot back at the guy who's shooting at you. Float out, come in, come out. You know, like if you guys had seen our scrimmage, I mean, nobody saw it except for us, but if you had the chance to see our Seattle Thunder scrimmage, there were much smaller gaps that existed where those guys were still floating out in dead zones, trying to get to the corner, for example. And so that's a way to survive that. The same is going to be true for the Dorito side. So don't feel like you have to just run there off the break every time. Okay, that's the first thing I'll say. But I would suspect that getting out of this bunker is going to be very hard, but you might have to pull up short here. But that the athleticism and the IQ of your front snake player and their ability to read and react is going to make a huge difference in their ability to survive this snake side. Okay, if you're just sending the guy off the break every point, he's probably going to die. So you need to figure out creative ways to get into these different bunkers. Okay. But that does mean that the snake guy probably needs to have his gun up almost every point. Unless you're going to go to the snake off the break, or you want to change it up and put your gun down and get here, I would suspect that the number 1 on the snake needs to have his gun up every time. Which means that you could probably fight to have 5 guns up every point on this layout. And it might be that you have to do that, okay? If you guys are on this layout shooting anything less than 4 guns, you are conceding too much ground to your opponents. Try to have 4, if not 5 guns up. This is true for almost every layout. You should have 4. 5 is really hard to get, but in a layout like this where the front guy needs to like do some kind of trickery dance work to get out, that is possible, right? Now the Dorito guy, I actually didn't look at his run and gun options. I mean, yeah, you could definitely run and gun to the corner. That's what I would do. First of all, never run and gun into this Dorito. First, never ever do that. Don't ever run and gun to this bunker. If you're gonna run and gun, you should always go to the corner and then immediately take this bite right here and get established in the Dorito, and then start fighting the Dorito 1 to then immediately get to this Dorito. That's what you're trying to do when you make that play. If they pull up short for whatever reason on the Dorito side, then you can absolutely punish them for that and take this bite deep, because all you have to do is beat them in one spot, and now you're in the Dorito 3, and they're super jammed up. There's no one here, okay? So breakout, I would say a pretty default breakout is going to be this. I'm going to draw this line right here, which is to indicate like you got to get creative. And then you could really send this number to a couple places. You could either send them here or here. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, there you go. Those are the 5 bunkers. But the home guy has a lot of creativity. It has a lot of freedom. The home guy could go here, here, or here. Okay. So if you want to double stack something to key up on a particular body, definitely do that. Riskier plays, a risky play on the snake side is just going to be snake off break. Again, I don't know how valuable that is, except that you can get to the snake 2 right after. Don't stop when you get to the snake 1. If you get to the snake off break, don't stop. Let's see. If you have a guy in this Dorito, do not go to this corner. Just instead come here and try to work your way here, because that's going to be a much better move. Because if you get jammed up, for example, if you get stuck here, but you're here and they are here, and let's say here and here, then you actually have a good way to blow open the point by running this guy down. Obviously, depending on where this guy's looking. And the reason that blows the point up is because now you make it a 4-on-4. Excuse me. There's 3 people here, 1 guy here, which makes this an island drill. And then you've got 2 people here and right? 2 people here and 2 people here. But you have 3 people pushing Snake Way while this guy plays an island drill by himself. So as long as this guy survives, you push the snake side and you win based on this play when you kill this dude. Because you're just gonna overwhelm him, right? As long as you don't get shot silly out of your bunker. Hopefully you can put enough pressure on them to cause them to crack. As far as which side of the field I think is gonna win more consistently, I mean, to be honest with you, if you kill either side of the field really early, the gaps are so large that you should just take the bite. You should just take the bite up the middle, or take the bite rather out up to the bunkers, right? So if, for example, we get a Tiger 1, just kill 1. If we Tiger 1 this guy right here, I'm probably going to, with my gun up, start shooting on the inside of the bunker, or inside of the field, and trying to get up to this 50. So I'm going to go here, immediately start shooting at this Aztec. If there's nobody in the Aztec, I'm going to go here. And I'm just going to try and cause as much chaos as I can. Because as soon as I get here, this guy's dead, this guy's dead. Okay, well, as soon as that's done, I come here, and all of a sudden, I've got this kill. If he's there, I've killed this guy's dead for sure. And now I don't really care where the snake guy is, because I've blown open the point and I'm running to the corner. So I would suspect that if you lose the body on the Dorito side, when they have positioning, that point is going to blow up fast. Whereas if you kill the guy in the snake, there's just so much traffic. There's so many bunkers here that it makes the fast push really hard, because you have a lot of angles you need to be careful about. So certainly the snake can blow open the field just as well, but I would suspect that the Dorito side is your push side, your default push side. I think the snake is going to be very slow and very hard to get out of, or push past, or get into a position where you kill people, because this gap is really hard to get out of. And if they have established positioning here, this gap is hard to get out of. Otherwise, you just don't really have a lot of kill shots here. If people play tight in their bunker, that is, right? Whereas if you get here, man, you apply so much pressure to these 2 bunkers. And if you break past that pressure, look at this channel. Look at this channel that you kill. From that 1 bunker, you kill this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. Oh, and I should probably include this guy. Just from getting to the 50 and wrapping, right? So I would say key bunkers, that's a key bunker. Get to this bunker to establish the launch ready, right? You're waiting to launch. This dance is really key. However you get out of the snake is really key. Another 10 gifted. Alan, dude. You gifted like 40 subs today, dude. Holy, it's like 30 or 40. You're insane, dude. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I hope it's worth your time. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. It means a lot to me. So, and thank you, Alan, for reaching out. You guys owe Alan a huge thanks. So, because I would not have known to cover this. I would not have thought to cover this layout. So, okay. I think that's it. Oh, and this move is key. If you get into the snake, get to the snake 2. Okay. If you get to the snake off break, go to the snake 2 right away. Don't stop. If you don't get to the snake off the break, you have to wait. You have to kind of pause for a second. This dynamic is it's either or. Okay, I'm gonna draw a 1 and a 0, or it could be vice versa. That's an either or. Not both. And this is a great bunker to dig out this guy. Which we established as a key bunker. Otherwise, you've got a lot of options, guys. I mean, really, if you want to kill the snake guy, put 2 guns on him. Okay? What 2 guns you put on him is up to you. You can put the cross shot on him and a guy that's in this gap, or you could put this gun up and this gun up, which isn't as great probably, but the same could be true for the other side of the field, right? If you want to kill the Dorito guy, put 2 guns up. You could do it so it's like this and like this, or rather like this and like this. It's just a matter of keying up on wherever it is. Usually I call it When I create plays, I call it bingo. So we're bingoing Bingo the Snake, which assumes, like, if I were to call, that's actually not true. Our team doesn't work kind of this way. But, like, if I were to coach a team and I call Bingo Snake, we should all automatically know where our guns are going and where we're going. If I call Bingo Dorito, you should automatically know where those guns are and know where everybody's going. So, and then I usually have like a center push, or I could say CP, which I don't really think there's much of a center push on this field. We've established that like surviving the middle is going to be pretty hard because there's so many gaps, and we didn't really look at the center can. I'll tell you what, if you get Tiger 2, even still though, that's like really not a great way. It's a very situational bunker. I was just going to say, usually when you kill 2 off the break on one side of the field, the center guy can just push straight and lock off the zone to make sure they can't kick out. And you want to be closer to do that, right? And you could do that from the can. The problem is that this guy, if he's here, he can challenge you pretty hard to make your survivability really tough. And then if there's anybody in the snake that decides to look at you, you die. So I'm actually thinking that the only way that you should push up to this can is if they double stacked the home on one side of the field. So if, for example, you called 32 and you tigered these 2 people, well, where's the home guy going to be? The home guy is probably in this bunker, okay? And we don't even have to know where the other 2 snake guys are. They're somewhere here. There's 2 snake guys in this zone, and then the home guy's probably here. That means that if that happens off the break, if you called 32 and you called Tiger 2, or we would say double Ricky, because Ricky is right, Lucy is left. If we said double Ricky and I'm the home guy, the first thing I'm doing is punching up here and locking off this zone and trying to fight this guy. Okay, so what that would look like is I would come up here, I would wrap, and I would check this guy off at that Aztec. And if I don't see him, I'm going to come up here looking snake way, and then I'm going to challenge him directly right here. And I'm going to make him live behind his gun. And obviously I'm on a time clock because I'm living behind my gun. But if he's not looking at me, then I'm just going to kick out here, and I'm honestly just going to run through and close out the point. You could do the same thing for the other side of the field. This is the last thing I'll say. So for example, if you were up somewhere in the middle and you heard double Lucy, then you called 23, double Lucy. So, that's double Lucy. 23. Before the point started, you called 23 and you hear double Lucy. That means that you should punch up this side and stare at this guy right here as you make this move. Stare at this dude, run up to this bunker, close off this zone. So come up here, shoot at this guy. Oh, he's not looking at me. The problem is it's harder to dig out Dorito players because it's much easier for them to challenge you as you make this move, but just know that that's also a possibility. Oh man, I'm 10:21. I'm 20 minutes past time. Okay, hopefully that was helpful. Before I leave this screen, if you guys have any questions, I'll give you just a minute to ask. Otherwise, that is it. That is it. So I'll give you, like I said, just a couple minutes to ask any sort of questions you have about the field, any angles you wanted to see. I'm definitely well past time, but that's okay. Because holy crap, this has been a crazy stream. Welcome all the new people who've joined the Discord server. If you haven't joined the Discord server already, click the link in the description below. It should be there. And make sure to choose a role in the roles channel. That's going to be the best way to stay aware. Let's see. Alan, thanks from all of us in Malaysia. Absolutely, buddy. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Okay, if you guys got no questions, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate everybody who's been here. Appreciate everybody who was here for the Ronnie Dizon stream as well. So thanks, guys, so much. If you want me to review another layout that you guys play, the best way to get a hold of me is in the Discord server. So be sure to join that. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys later. Thanks. Bye.